What would you do if you saw a man laugh while stomping on a wooden cross, daring Jesus Christ to appear in a quiet American town in Clearwater, Kentucky? That's exactly what happened, and what followed left the town forever changed. The county fair was buzzing with music and the smell of fried food when a small group of young men drifted toward the churchyard. Isaac Miller, restless and carrying a heavy chip on his shoulder, was among them. His buddy Kyle grabbed a small, hand-carved cross from a church display and shoved it into Isaac's hand. "Let's see if Jesus shows up," someone snickered. Isaac laughed, dropped the cross to the gravel, and brought his boot down hard. The wood cracked like a gunshot. Phones came out, recording. "Where's your Jesus now?" he yelled into the night. Across the street, Mr. Harold, a stooped man nearly 80 years old, stepped forward with his cane. He didn't scold. He warned. "You think it's just wood? But what you've stirred tonight won't go back to sleep!" The laughter faded. A church bell tolled from the dark steeple with no hand on the rope and no service scheduled. Isaac forced a grin and led his crew away, but the fair's warm glow suddenly felt distant and cold. By morning, the town's talk traveled faster than Wi-Fi. Mrs. Dawson poured the sheriff coffee and whispered, "That Miller boy broke across," laughing. Parents pulled their kids closer when Isaac passed. Old men at the barber shop just stared at the ground. Kyle admitted he hadn't slept a wink. He kept hearing that bell. Even Isaac felt it, a constant sensation of being watched, a heavy weight pressing down on the whole town like a damp blanket. That night, the first sign came, quiet as a draft under a door. Isaac woke in his trailer to the impossible, thick scent of church incense. The bathroom mirror fogged over, and with a trembling finger one he couldn't see letters drew a single word. "Asterisk here!" On his forearm, 3 pale, spiral marks appeared like shallow burns, stinging underwater. Across town, at exactly 3:15 a.m., a young woman named Emily Carter sat bolt upright in bed as a single, loud bell clang rattled her window. She'd grown up with Isaac, and fear folded her hands into prayer. That Sunday, Pastor Daniel Brooks didn't preach with thunder. He let the silence do the work. After the service, Emily found him. "It's Isaac," she said, her voice tight. Mr. Harold joined them, his tone grave. "It's not the first time. 40 years back, a boy named Samuel Hodge mocked that same cross. He disappeared. All they ever found was the cross, split in 2. His mama heard the bell at 3:15. Fear keeps mouths shut longer than faith, Harold said, but the old story now felt terrifyingly new. By dusk, storm clouds rolled in. Isaac's trailer walls shuddered with the wind. He fled into the rain, running toward the river levee, a knot of rage and dread in his chest. From her window, Emily saw his silhouette cutting through the downpour. At the same moment, John Miller Isaac's father, a man hardened by grief and old anger, felt something inside him break, and he ran after his son. At the bend of the Ohio River, the current churned like a living thing. Lightning tore the sky apart. "You want me?" Isaac shouted into the wind and water. "Show me!" And the river answered. A figure shimmered, then rose from the depths, walking steadily over the boiling black water. The storm itself seemed to bow around it. The waves smoothed beneath its feet. Its robes were luminous, its face unreadable, yet turned unmistakably toward Himcrest upon the water. Isaac's legs gave out. No, this isn't real. But the truth pressed down on him harder than the rain. From the ridge above, John saw it too. His disbelief shattered as he dropped to his knees, whispering the name he'd buried with his wife decades ago. From her window, Emily glimpsed the same radiance and wept. The figure raised a hand not in threat, but as an invitation, and for a moment, the world held its breath. Then it was gone. The storm roared back, but what they had seen could not be unseen. Clearwater woke, changed. Not everyone believed, but the heavy weight over the town had shifted. Pastor Brooks called a candlelight prayer walk for peace, not punishment. Candles bobbed in the dark as hymns braided through the night air. Isaac arrived, pale but still defiant, with his father a few paces behind. He faced the new, flower-draped cross on the church lawn. "This, a piece of wood." His laugh cracked. Where was God when my mom was dying? Mr. Harrell leaned on his cane. Careful, boy. You're digging Samuel's grave. The bell rope creaked, though no hand touched it. Pastor Brooks stepped close. It isn't about where Jesus is, he said quietly. It's about what's inside you! For a heartbeat, Isaac Esparvado slipped as he saw Emily praying and his father S. shoulders bent with guilt. Then, anger flared and he pushed back into the night. He did not sleep. In his trailer, the mirror he'd covered with a blanket began to shiver. A warm, golden light poured through the fabric, soft as dawn and heavy as truth. The blanket fell. The light filled the room, not electric, but living. And there, near enough to touch, stood Jesus. Not distant like on the river, but near. Intimate, inescapable. Isaac collapsed. I mocked you, he sobbed. I cursed your name. No, audible voice answered, but a presence spoke directly to his soul. Asterisk, your anger was loud, but my love is louder. Asterisk, John burst through the door, rain-soaked and trembling, then froze, seeing what his son saw. The prayers he'd locked away since his wife's death cracked open. Why now? Isaac asked the light. Asterisk, because you are broken, and broken things are what I make whole. Asterisk, a hand touched his shoulder. A healing heat spread through him, stitching together places he thought were ruined forever. 3 words wrote themselves across his spirit. Asterisk, look! Remember? Change. Asterisk, the light faded. A single candle on the windowsill, unlit for years, now burned with a steady flame. Morning felt lighter over clear water. Isaac stared at his hands scarred. Ordinary, but changed. In the old woodshop out back, he found his grandfather's sketches for a church altar his father had once promised to rebuild. Shame pricked him. Not to wound, but to call him to action. You don't know how? John said, his voice rough. I'll learn, Isaac answered. The rhythm of planes and chisels became a new language between father and son, confession in each strike, forgiveness in each fitted joint. Word spread. On Sunday, Pastor Brooks announced, the Millers are rebuilding the altar at St. Mark's. And people came. Emily arrived first, with sandwiches. Kyle swept sawdust. Mrs. Dawson brought pies. Mr. Harold offered Steuben necessary advice. Fear loosened its grip. Purpose took root. Weeks later, the oak altar stood imperfect, gleaming, and theirs. Candlelight washed the sanctuary as the town crowded in. This isn't a monument to perfection, Pastor Brooks said, resting a hand on Isaac's shoulder. It's a witness to redemption. As hymns rose, John whispered to the wife he'd lost, Mary, you'd be proud. Isaac knelt at the altar he once would have scorned. Asterisk, thank you, asterisk, he prayed. Asterisk, not for erasing my pain, but for never leaving me in it. Asterisk, the change held. Men fixed the church roof. Women cooked for neighbors. Isaac didn't try to be a saint. He just showed up, built benches, carried groceries. He listened. When asked to speak to the youth, he kept it plain. Anger hollowed me out, he said. Then, one night, the river stood still. I saw him not just with my eyes, but with my soul. And once you know he's real, you can't live like he isn't. On a cool spring morning, Isaac returned to the riverbank. The water was like glass. He pressed his palm to the damp earth and breathed the words that had remade him. Look! Remember! Change, Emily called from behind him, a picnic basket in her arms. He rose, wiped the mud from his hands, and walked back toward a town, learning to believe again, one nail, one prayer, one act of surrender at a time. Thanks for watching! If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores faith, redemption, and the incredible moments that change our lives. See you next time!